This is Hammer Striker here. We're going to talk to you about the Glock 30 today. This is Glock's large frame pistols. This particular one is chambered in 45. This same frame is used for the Glock 29, which is the 10mm. And one of the things about this is it's got a little bit wider grip, a little bit wider slide than the 9mm 40 and other variations. From a dimension standpoint, it's 6.88 inches front to rear. It's 4.8 inches tall, and it's 1.27 inches thick. So it does have a relatively thick slide, and the slide's fairly flush with the body. It has a 3.77 inch barrel with the standard polygonal rifling that all Glocks have. So of course this, like all other Glocks, it's not a good idea to shoot barrel edge. You want to use jacketed bullets. It comes from the factory with a 10 round, kind of somewhat extended magazine. It's not truly a pinky extender because it does sit back a little bit. It doesn't come up flush with the grip, though you can rest your pinky on it. And this magazine holds 10. It is a double stack magazine. Another option that you can get, but seems to be extremely hard to find, is a 9 round flush mount magazine. And you might think, well, why do I want one fewer round? Well, if you can get your hands on one of these magazines, it sits very flush. It's a 2-finger grip, but at this point you've got a little bit shorter grip to try to hide. Like all Glocks, it'll accept all magazines from larger guns in the same series. So I can put the 13 round magazine in it. Hangs down a little bit, works perfectly fine. Or you can go with the fun stick. Does look a little bit ludicrous on the range, but quite a bit of fun emptying this magazine. Though after running 26 round down the range with this magazine, you're going to be a little bit tired at the end, and the pinky extender on the end of this probably doesn't serve much of a purpose. So you can use something like this, the magazine from the Glock 21, or one of the 2 magazines that was designed for this particular gun. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how the gun comes down. Of course, you start with verifying that it's unloaded. With the Glocks, you do have to pull the trigger. Grab a hold of it, pull the slide back just a little bit, and pull down on these 2 levers and slide the slide off. The 2 little levers right here are serrated to get a grip on them, and the easiest way to grab them is just from underneath. You're just pulling a little lever down to clear the slide to come off. The slide, when you pick it up and handle it, you can tell it's a very robust slide, nice and solid. A little bit heavy. This is a Gen 4, so it has a dual recoil spring like all of the Gen 4s. The barrel, which as I mentioned is 3.77 inches. Nice solid robust barrel. And it has, if you look at the slide itself, like all Glocks, it is a drop-safe weapon. So you have the drop safety right here. This plunger is actuated by the trigger bar as you pull the trigger. Until that's depressed, the gun won't fire. And you have the sear here at the back. When you look at the frame is very similar to other Glock frames, other than, of course, it's a little bit thicker. It has steel guide rails at the front, a very solid locking block. The trigger bar with this protrusion is the protrusion that actuates the striker block and disengages it so that you can fire it. Steel guide rods at the back and the trigger mechanism. As this is a Gen 4, it does have replaceable back straps. This particular one does not have a back strap on it. You can add additional back straps that come with it to increase the size of it a little bit if it makes it more comfortable for your hand size. And it is a reversible mag catch, so you can take the mag catch out, pull a spring out, pop it out, flip it over to the other side, and be able to put the mag, for left-handed, be able to put the mag release on the other side of the gun. The slide release is not ambidextrous, it's only on the one side. And the reversible mag catch is one of the features that you get with the Gen 4 that you don't get with the earlier gens. And it does require Gen 4 magazines. And when you look at a Gen 4 magazine, you'll see that it has a notch on both sides. So in order to take advantage of the reversible mag catch, you have to have Gen 4 mags. Gen 3 mags or earlier mags will work perfectly in this gun in the right-handed configuration. So you don't have to necessarily worry about that if you're going to run it in the right-handed configuration. In fact, here's an example. I've got a Gen 3 mag that's only got one cutout on it. Works perfectly in this gun because I've left it in the factory configuration. I happen to be right-handed. Reassembly is as easy as disassembly. Set the frame aside for the moment. Reassemble the slide first. Take the barrel, drop the barrel in place. At the front of the barrel, there's a little moon-shaped cutout. We're going to be dropping the recoil spring into that. So take the recoil spring with the large end facing the front of the slide, place it in there, drop it down in, and just give it a little shove to make sure it sits into that recess. You want that to sit nice and flush and be centered. It tends to self-center itself, you just give it a little bit of a push. Just take the slide, line it up with the guide rails, pull it back, rack it, and function check. At this point, you're ready to go. A couple of the other features that you may be interested in the larger frame Glocks is it does have a Picatinny rail at the front with a single notch, so that you can put in accessories such as a light, a laser, anything like that. Like all Glocks, it comes with their standard U-dot sights, which are very easy to see, very easy to pick up, and consistent across the entire line. So they're very easy to use and work with. And they are windage adjustable, and the front is pinned, the rear is windage adjustable. Both are replaceable. The rear one you drive out, and the front one you undo a screw. And one of the other things with the Gen 4, you get the RTF2 type grip texture, which they call it the rough texture. It's not all that rough. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't tear your hands up. But you definitely get a nice solid feeling grip on it. When you've got a hold of this, it's not going anywhere even if your hands are sweaty. It's a much more aggressive grip than the earlier generations without being painful. And that same grip texture is on the rear, as well as on the front with the finger grooves. So when you pick this up, it's very comfortable to hold, very easy to hold. It's a pleasure to shoot on the range. Even in .45 caliber, this gun handles recoil exceptionally well. And it has a very nice trigger. So when we show you the trigger, again, we'll reiterate that it's unloaded. There's your take up. And a clean, crisp break. Short reset, which is one of the things Glocks are known for, is a relatively short reset and a very crisp break. The trigger is very consistent. This gun, from the beginning of the mag to the end of the mag, every time you pick it up, the trigger will operate the same. So it's very easy to get into a routine with it and get to the point where you know exactly when this trigger is going to break, when it's going to reset, and when it's going to break again coming off the break. This trigger, out of the factory, the larger frame ones come in a little bit under 5.5 pounds. It seems like for some reason the larger frame have a slightly nicer trigger than the medium and versus the very small. This particular one has the 3.5 pound connector, also called the minus connector. It effectively lowers the trigger weight by 1 pound. So this trigger is coming in just a little over 4 pounds. And I did polish the trigger internals on this. You can do a look at the 25-cent trigger job. There's a few videos out there that show how to polish the trigger components and what you need to polish to get a much smoother trigger. If you don't polish it, you can polish it the easy way, putting rounds through it. As you use the trigger, it'll polish itself. You can cut right to the chase, do the polish job yourself, and it'll be right where you want it to be. Overall, this gun has proven itself to be very useful for concealed carry. Hunting, I take this with me when I go hunting, and it's also a lot of fun at the range. So if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and have a great day.